All right, welcome Star Wars fans. We've got a special edition of the Cantina tonight, part of the Brick City Blockade Star Wars Podcast Network. The Last Jedi, everybody. We got the trailer out there. It's official. So we're here to talk trailer, and Jim and I, we brought some friends along this time. So with the power of the internet, Jim and I are happy to welcome Sean Michaud and Katie McFarland to the show, and we're going to be able to just share our thoughts here, and we're going to be wrong, you know.
We're always wrong, so
yeah, we just have come to accept it. So
it's part of the fun.
Yeah, so it's really funny too, because we just posted, although it happened 2 Sundays from now, or ago, I should say, where we had our big group roundtable we had at Krypton Comics when we had Scott Inch here. And it was funny because I just edited that podcast last night and got that posted, but we were all kind of talking about what did we want out of this trailer? What did we expect? And boy, were we wrong all over the place.
Yeah, I just actually finished listening to that episode. Really good, everyone talking, but that trailer was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
All right, so just overall thoughts. What I do want to do, just for our listeners' benefit, and just kind of what everybody's like favorite moments, like that, those things that just kind of give you the goosebumps. And I could argue that most of the trailer does do that for us. But then kind of a 2.0 question that we had at our most recent roundtable is now, after we've seen this, what is now like each of our biggest questions that we have going into this? So let's just go around the horn. I'll go last each time, but let's start with everybody's kind of top moment from the trailer. And Jim, I'll throw it over to you first.
I think being such a Luke Skywalker fan, you would think that I'd probably go that way. And I was a little bit surprised with how Luke was in the trailer. It was kind of nice because you and I have joked about the get off my lawn moments that it seemed like from some of the EW pictures and that kind of stuff. And it didn't quite get that sense out of the trailer. You got kind of a sense. That wasn't my favorite moment, and I'm already off on a Luke Skywalker tangent. So the favorite moment really, I think, might have been, believe it or not, Kylo Ren in his TIE fighter with potentially his mother in the crosshairs and that indecision. And I think after The Force Awakens, I was left with this, well, man, he's gone over that line and he's not really going to be coming back, or if he is coming back, it's not going to be for a while. He had made his choice, and it kind of shows us that maybe there's still some indecision there with Kylo Ren, and he still feels that call to the light pretty strongly.
Especially the scene right before, like 10 seconds before he just smashes the helmet. That's
exactly.
I think that has to tie in what he's going through with his choices.
Yeah, and it kind of got me thinking as to maybe we're seeing the interesting idea of, the prequels where the rise and fall of Anakin Skywalker, and then the original trilogy was the redemption of Anakin Skywalker. So we've always had a plot point that went in kind of, one solid direction for most of the time. And maybe we have 2 main characters now with Kylo, where he started out on the dark side and he's working his way towards redemption. And God, I hope it's kind of not the case, but maybe Rey starts out on the light side and falls. And it'd be interesting. I think there's a lot of misdirection in that editing of the trailer, but it does leave that question of maybe for the first time ever, there's, there's 2 major characters going at the same time in different directions in the plot.
I think your son just made his YouTube debut, if he hasn't already. So
he did. It's another Luke, actually. Go figure, right?
Before Katie, I throw it over to you. I figure we also talk a little bit about maybe just our overall thoughts about the narrative that Rian Johnson was going for here. I feel like there's a lot of smoke and mirrors and magic, and I'm not reading too much into the order of kind of how we saw the scenes, or even what some of the dialogue is. Call me crazy, but I'm a little snake bitten by the Force Awakens trailers and Rogue One. So what did everybody feel like how it all kind of came together, kind of knowing what we know now, and really we're I feel like we were duped by Rogue One. So what is everybody thought? What's everyone's thoughts about that one?
That's a tough one.
Okay.
I
So
was just kind of saying it that, I mean, I think there's misdirection in it.
We probably shouldn't take it at face value. I mean, we're all gonna always have our theories, and it's gonna be really fun to start just expounding on what we already had. But I'm a little reluctant to kind of go ahead and make any big conclusions based on what we've seen. Is kind of what I'm saying.
I kind of feel like it's probably Rian Johnson and company having a little fun with us too. I mean, they know that they're going to drive us, people like us, into a frenzy over some of this stuff, but everything can be viewed in, from a certain point of view. You can pull any meaning out of this, out of these lines, and a great example of that is Kylo Ren's few lines towards the beginning of the trailer where he first appears in his TIE fighter, and the voiceover for him is saying, you got to kill your past. You got to destroy it in order to become what you're supposed to become. Paraphrasing, of course, because I've only watched the trailer 5 times instead of 100 yet. Haven't had that much time. And you could easily be, we're kind of thinking that's especially with what you're seeing in imagery, that it's about destroying Leia and how he destroyed his father. But at the same time, it could be him talking about how he needs to leave his past behind in the sense of what he's done to Han Solo, and maybe going with the call to the light and changing his path. Changing his path, so to speak. So I'm just kind of saying it's a 2.5 minute trailer, and there's just lines thrown at us here and there, and they can really be interpreted in so many different ways that it's hard to draw any major conclusion out of it. It's just kind of a hell of a lot of fun is what it is.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. So speaking about fun, Katie, what was your favorite moment from the trailer?
Well, I think you know how much I like Kylo Ren, and
just a wee bit.
Probably guess that the last scene, I just lost it. Like, I think my direct quote was, "Oh my gosh, I love the whole Rey and Kylo Ren thing, and I love how they were contrasted, and there was just a lot of juxtaposition between them, and it really seems like, even though it's the trailer and we might not know, but it seems like the movie is going to focus a lot on not necessarily just their relationship, but also like those converging paths, like we talked about, the light and the dark. And so that last scene just like killed me.
Kind of like the hand extended.
Yeah. But like you said, the editing and it might be misleading, because I was looking at the backgrounds too, and when it looked at him, there was like kind of embers flying and floating in the background, and for her there wasn't. So I was like, okay, these might not be like lining up. It might not be the same scene.
Yeah, I did have a different theory, but I won't get into this episode though.
Yeah.
There's 2 months, Sean, to talk about.
I know.
And then there's several years to talk about how wrong we were afterwards. So no, I love that scene too. I think the one thing, Katie, I did notice was it looked like Rey looked like she just had gotten to the island with that outfit she had. So like you said, I'm kind of hoping that was just the power of editing, and we're made to kind of think that. And I feel like we're like all old pros now at this Lucasfilm trailer shindig that we've got. So good stuff. So, all right, Sean, gonna throw it over to you. What was your favorite moment from the trailer?
Well, for me, the scene that I didn't expect it was going to happen at all at the movie was with Rey and Snoke. I didn't think they were going to meet, and especially during that last second to last scene with Snoke forcing her, and she's like, I don't know.
Yeah, just like bent over in pain, and
it was like a torture scene.
Yeah, I know, which I didn't expect them to meet. So that really pumps me up, and I really want. That's gonna tell me how much Snoke is gonna really mean to this movie.
Yeah,
instead of the third one.
Yeah,
of course he's gonna be in the third, and we don't know yet, but
Yeah, there's so many questions about that too. It's funny you mentioned that, Sean, because I was looking at that scene, and at first, obviously, you could see that she was kind of bent over, like somebody using the Force. You have to look really closely in the background, but it does. I think you're right. I think it does appear to be Snoke, and I mean that again leads to a whole lot of questions. So,
well, that's where Luke Skywalker is going to ignite the green, come in and save her. That's what I'm thinking is happening. That'd be great.
That's what my ultimate moment's going to be. I just want to see him ignite his lightsaber one more time. So my favorite scene in the whole trailer, and I did love a lot of it, and we'll kind of talk about, the music. I love the imagery and the music and everything. I love the whole trailer. The thing that was like the kind of for me was like was the moment when it was kind of the extension of what we saw in the first teaser trailer at Star Wars Celebration Orlando. Was we had Rey on the ground kind of, basically making all the rocks around her kind of float and shake and stuff. But then to go one step further and actually show her cracking the ground. And it wasn't so much the fact that I think we've thought that she could be potentially that powerful in the Force, but it was Luke Skywalker's reaction was genuine disturbing wonder, like, who is this girl? And it's kind of funny, Katie, because I feel like you got me on like the Rey Kenobi bandwagon, but the more I see and the more that I hear and the more I would love for her to be a Skywalker, but I'm starting to think that either she's a Kenobi or maybe just is like a version of the Force in some capacity. But I don't know.
Reason then.
It probably is. But I will also say too, this could be a lot of misdirection, and we're really seeing either a lot of the grumpy Luke Skywalker in this trailer, where I don't want to extrapolate that entire, what we saw from him, and that's how he's going to be in the entire film, because I think he is, he's genuine, and he's just, I don't know. He's just, obviously he's a lot of our favorite characters, and I'm just so excited to see him again. So, we've kind of been throwing it around. Let's, as we kind of close out our chat, and there's going to be many, many more of these. This is just our reaction kind of 24 hours later. We haven't really had a ton of time to dig into this. I mean, Jim, you've only watched it 5 times. I think I've watched it 5 times today. We'll see. One thing too, and I don't, Jim, I don't know if we've talked about it before on a prior episode of the Cantina, but I feel like, did we talk about international trailers before? No, I don't think so. But basically, for those, it's like, I would imagine we'll probably get another trailer within a few weeks from now. That's kind of it's got the international spin on it, and we often see a lot of the same dialogue, but different imagery and scenes, because those are things that are going to resonate in different cultures other than here, kind of in the States where we're primarily based. So, that's going to be something interesting too. And I know The Force Awakens had a lot of that too, where it's a little bit more character building. Katie, I know we talked recently when we were at Krypton Comics about, Star Wars is a lot about the characters, and this was definitely a character driven trailer.
Yeah, there wasn't like a ton of action. It was more all the different characters and where they were and sort of what's going on with them. I was pleasantly surprised by, seeing as much of Finn as we did and as much of Poe as we did. So yeah, definitely.
Always take her helmet off first.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't read either I just finished up the Phasma novel. I won't get into any other details, but it's certainly, I look at her a lot differently now. And this is not really a spoiler, but one of the best parts about that book was just to see a lot of the inner workings of the First Order. And it kind of definitely puts a little bit different perspective on, the movies and stuff now. And it's like you definitely don't have to definitely read the book before you see the film, but it's one of those things like we talked about, like Catalyst and things like that will kind of whet the appetite for a little bit. Will give you a little bit more depth, but it's not a requirement to see the film. Like, you won't be completely lost if you don't read that. But I thought the Phasma book was excellent. And so let's get back on track, because I'm all over the place here.
It's the Cantina. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, we just
Sorry, that's my fault.
No, it's fine. I mean, the only consistent thing we do is be inconsistent. So let's go around the horn here, and I want to hear kind of what if everybody's kind of what either their biggest question has kind of changed a little bit, or is it really the same? Sean, I'll throw it over to you first. What is now kind of like your biggest question you have for yourself going into The Last Jedi less than 2 months from now?
I think it's still the question, who is Snoke? And there's still going to be a lot what Snoke is going to be. And I feel like this trailer the trailer gave enough of Snoke, but I think we're going to get enough of him just to know him as we want to say creature, person, I don't know, a master or something. But,
I mean,
yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, guys, just going to say to just kind of expound on what you said there too. I think number one, we got the image that you mentioned. We saw him, but then we also saw how dangerous he is. And just a quick little shot where he's technically in kind of in the background where you don't see him that well. That's all I really need to know, that he's a complete badass. So
it seems like he's much stronger than Sidious.
Well, I think we definitely really have to take him seriously. If anybody had any thoughts that maybe he's kind of like a Wizard of Oz type situation, not gonna happen. So
that's what I thought. Like the first trailer I saw, I thought we're not gonna see him at all and just have him way in the background. But with that up close, I'm very excited.
Jim, what's your biggest question going in now?
You know, it's funny. I'll go to Luke Skywalker on this one, and I'll just say there's so many questions after that trailer. It's kind of hard to narrow it down to one. So I'm just going to say something that I hope to see in this movie, and this trailer didn't answer my question, is do we ever see Luke somewhere besides that damn island in this movie? I've been waiting a long time for a movie where Luke Skywalker has a speaking role and doesn't just show up at the very end of the movie. Even though the robotic hand is awesome, I mean, it didn't really fulfill my appetite. And so I'd like to see him somewhere else, and not just being this trilogy's version of like a Yoda Obi-Wan Kenobi hybrid for Rey. Mm-hmm. I want to see him still be a Jedi or something close to it, and hopefully we'll see that in this movie.
Absolutely. So, Katie, what's your biggest question going into the film?
Well, I have a few now, but I just want to build off what Jim said. I'm
also curious.
Right, I'm curious if he will ever reunite with Leia. Like that's a big concern of mine. So I think going into the trailer, I was really curious about like the casino and the Canto Bight, all that stuff, and there was just nothing.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So I'm still like, that's still my burning question.
We didn't get also the two new characters in the trailer as well.
Right,
yeah, Rose was in it.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So that's kind of like still my remaining question. And then the trailer actually brought up two more questions.
Let's hear them.
So like the robotic hand like bursting up from the wreckage when the temple is burning. I'm just kind of wondering, I'm assuming it's Luke's, but like did Kylo Ren intend to kill him or think that he was dead if he was buried under this wreckage? Or if it wasn't Kylo Ren, who was it? So that was my first question. And obviously, I'm also very curious about what Finn is doing kind of in the First Order disguise, and if he's going to be involved with the kind of casino side of things and going off on these missions with Rose, then what is he doing there and what is he looking for?
Let me just
say,
I
wish I could answer those.
Yeah, I mean, let me just say that if you read the Phasma novel, the stakes of that, the clash that we see and the imagery between him and Phasma, it's that I'm pretty amped about. I know we've got one of our friends of the podcast network, Amy Wishman, actually had tweeted at our Twitter account early tonight and said that was her favorite scene, and I can't really disagree with her at all on that one. So yeah, good stuff there. My biggest question is kind of along what Jim had. I really want to know more about the Rey and Luke dynamic. I feel like we got they told us how to think and feel going into this one, and I think we're going to get the rope-a-dope like we usually do. I really hope that we have a genuine teacher-student moment with these two. I mean, they're just fantastic people. outside of Star Wars and just as actor and actress. And I really hope they do that justice. And we also have to really remember too, this is the second act of a 3-act trilogy, and things are going to get pretty dire. I think there's a lot of things that we probably are get hinted at. Again, I think with editing of this trailer, we're led to think a couple different things. Obviously, we know they might have plans for Leia in this one. It might not. Who knows? I mean, that's just some of that additional speculation. But I really do. My biggest question is I still want to see what that relationship is like, because right now, the first trailer was a little bit more lighthearted. Definitely some tones of dark. This one, as our friend Robin Vogt said, this one was very much like the dark side one. Now, unfortunately, Robin wasn't able to join us tonight, but he did want to make sure that I mentioned that, you know, he felt like this trailer very much had an Old Republic feel to it, just in terms of the like kind of the environment and just the galaxy right now of how everything's really in turmoil. So it's really good stuff there. Actually, and I had a coworker today. I was talking about the trailer, and he really surprised me. He actually had a really good theory, and I looked into it afterwards. I guess there's a quote that Poe Dameron has about talking about having a spark that could ignite the fire to take out the First Order. My coworker actually found it from the Old Republic video game that's out there. You can go on YouTube, and they have a lot of the cutscenes and stuff there.
Xbox one, right?
The multiplayer one. So
right.
There's one, and I think it's entitled something along the lines of Hope. But it's like a 5-minute video, and at the end of the 5 minutes, I think it's one of the Republic commando troopers there actually says something along the lines of what Poe said. And whether Rian Johnson directly pulled that out of that to kind of include in the script or not, I don't care. I mean, it just definitely has the tone. So I think
that's kind of cool if you did.
Yeah, I think Robin might be onto something there. So I think Sean, I think you and Robin might have something to discuss in an upcoming episode.
And something you just said, Brian, about the as far as setting us up in a darker movie and how this might end, and we should prepare ourselves for how this movie might end, considering it's the second act of 3. We should all remember what Empire Strikes Back was. And a lot of these filmmakers that are doing these movies, I mean, obviously the first Force Awakens mirrors A New Hope, and I think a lot of these filmmakers are kind of going back to that original trilogy. It's hard to deny that. And put yourself in the shoes of somebody in 1980 walking out of the theater and saying, Jesus, Luke gets his hand cut off, and is Darth Vader really his father? Han Solo's in carbonite. Are they going to save him? Is that the last we're going to see of him? And they had to wait 3 years to find the answers to those questions. Thankfully, we only have to wait. They say 1.5 years. It's going to be 2 years by the time they fire the director, and then whatever they do for the third movie and push it back to December. But anyway, I'm just kind of saying that angst and all those questions we have now just after watching a 2.5-minute trailer, and we have to wait 2 months. There's gonna be a lot of unanswered questions and a million ways the story could go after we walk out of the theaters in mid-December, and it's gonna be a long 2-year wait, and it could be a little bit of a dark ending. I mean, Empire Strikes Back, a friend of mine always joke, it's one of the few movies that you'll watch where really it ends with the bad guys winning, and we could have the same thing happen here given some of the tones of that trailer.
Yeah, I'd almost expect it. I mean, I think you're definitely onto something there, Jim. So, good stuff all around. So a couple extra thoughts I thought might pop up in our conversation, but I definitely want to mention before we kind of sign off for the evening. But all right, just nobody mentioned it, but the Porg is so damn cute. I literally like, I was like, did like the fist pump after I saw it. And I'm like, yes.
I can't wait to see those ice foxes, though. Those things look so cool.
See that? Yeah.
That's a pet I want.
I've seen enough Porgs for now. I'm just kind of like, I'm starting to be Porg a little bit.
Yeah, we're definitely pro Porg here at the Brick City Blockade. But Sean, I agree. Those ice foxes. I guess it might be on Crate, but I don't know. But those, I mean, it's just stuff like that. It's the little things that add the complexity and just make us really love this galaxy. But no, my other final thought is the music. I don't know that anybody's been able to confirm that it was anything John Williams. A lot of the trailer cutting they do, they borrow from some of his motifs and stuff like that, where they'll bring stuff in. But I think it definitely ended with like the single note, piano, just to kind of invoke those, like all the feels at the end of it. But it mixed in the tone, the kind of the themes of Rey's theme, Kylo Ren's theme, but to go into another franchise. And I know John Williams started with the Harry Potter franchise and only went up through, I believe, the Prisoner of Azkaban. And I think the second one he was only half involved with, just because he was doing Attack of the Clones at that time. Towards the end of the Harry Potter series of movies, basically the music at the end of the series, like the last few films, got very edgy and very, very quick and very rapid. And I feel like towards, like, it's like about the 30-second mark or so, it definitely got that. And it kind of makes you a little bit more angst. It's like, it's exciting and there's all this other stuff, but it kind of builds you up too. And you're just like, what's going to happen? And then all of a sudden they just start hitting you left and right.
If it was John Williams, I'm pretty sure he tended to do that.
Yeah, no. So I just had to. I probably would have forgotten if I didn't mention it tonight.
Awesome sound mixer, though.
Yeah,
sound design on that trailer.
Absolutely. And Sean, you're the expert on that, so you would know better than any of us. So
I'm not an expert.
Well, you're out of the four of us, you are.
More or less.
All right, let's just go around the horn. Any other final thoughts? And like I said, this will be not the last time we all talk about this, but what's just Sean? We'll go Sean, Jim, Katie. Just any other final thoughts before we sign off? December
can't come any quicker. Let's go.
I can't top that. That's perfect. He summed it up. So I'm with him on that.
All right, Katie?
My final thought is Rey climbing the rocks in the fog with the gray cloak was straight up something out of the Two Towers, and I was just waiting for Smeagol to jump down on her.
Awesome, I love it.
Doing some like cross fandom things.
We're all about cross fandom here at the Brick City Blockade. So, all right, I think it's that time. We'll do a little plug time. Go around the horn. All right, Sean, where can the good people find you on social media?
Everyone can find me at Shama Show 1 on Twitter. It's Zone Z on Instagram. Follow my music at Bandcamp and SoundCloud. And you can find me on Facebook.
Jim?
You can find me on Twitter at Red5Jim.
And Katie?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram as Wanderer Katie. I'm on Pinterest as K McFarlane. And something I didn't mention before, but I don't know if we do want to include it. I'm on World of Warcraft.
Oh, yes.
So my guild is Black Death on Dalaran. So if anyone's interested, we're recruiting.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jedi Scavenger SW. Make sure you head over to BrickCityBlockade.com. Make sure you head over to iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud. Best way to get all of the latest episodes of the Brick City Blockade podcast network. Those are the places you can find us. We appreciate the ratings and reviews, and it just helps us spread the good word and allows us to get really good guests on and just really embrace the positive message that we're trying to share with the Star Wars community. So like we always finish off our shows, may the Force be with you.
Always.
Always.